Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Wednesday, it's June the 17th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And we'll have one more this week tomorrow, and then I will be wrapping it up. Just a reminder, I'll be gone all next week out of the country, so um, no chart lessons, no midday chart. I'll be real slow on emails and probably won't answer anything but critical items on email. So just continue. I'll continue to remind you about that this week. If you're tired of hearing it, sorry, but there's some people that only listen a couple times a week, and I just want to make sure everybody gets that message. Um, let's talk about today. FOMC day, pretty typical. It was really quiet until right before the news came out. We had a two-tiered channel working down. We also, in the big scheme of things, I think we've got a range day. We had a two-tiered channel going down, a two-tiered channel going up, but in the end, we're probably going to change fairly close to unchanged or close fairly close to un. Okay, I had a slight interruption there, but yes, in the overall big scheme, it was just a range type day. It's two-tiered. You can see it's two equal tiers. Um, the news came out right around 1 o'clock. The FOMC news. This today was probably a little more hectic than what we've been getting. It's basically been a non-event lately. And again, there were no changes today. I think there were some changes in the wording, but I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that stuff. All I care about is what it does to the chart. And I like to be flat before the noon hour, an hour or so before, because it ends up doing something like this for the last hour, and then all of a sudden you get whipsawed. But as you can see, the price action is still valid. Um, we had the break of the channel up here, the new low. Um, we had the move to the bottom of the equal measured move to the bottom of the channel, and then we bounced. And let's just draw, see if we got two. There's the first leg up, and you'd be looking for almost a measured leg. And you'd be looking for a measured leg. We almost got one. We missed it by a couple of ticks, but um, that's the kind of stuff you're looking for. You see the price action is still very valid. Here's that gap. Notice that gap again. It closed and then opened. It did end up trading and creating some overlap, but it closed on its high, on its low, and opened on um, the very closed on its low and opened on its very high. It did trade back, but and then continued down. But as you can see, there was that gap right where the line is. Um, and I show you that over and over all the time, and it tends to do that. That tends to tell you when you'll know if you got your lines in the right place when that happens. So just be aware of that. But let's talk about the trades. There were plenty of trades before the noon hour, and there were even a couple that you could probably take. And really, if you can read it quick enough, you could take any of these. It really started to get normal again right here about a little after 1 o'clock, around the 1 o'clock hour. Um, around the quarter past hour or so, 10 or 10, 15 or 15 minutes after. But you see what it did. Let's just do this. Um, there's where it started at 1 o'clock, and we really kind of got back to normal about, well, really the first 5 minutes afterwards, it kind of got back to normal. And the rest of this price action, but you can see those big bars and how quick, in just less than from 1 o'clock, 3 minutes there, we moved a total of 79 to 94. I mean, that's a huge move compared to what we've been getting in just a couple of minutes there. But and then we kind of went back to, but the price action is still valid. That's my point I'm trying to make. So let's talk about the trades. Lots of them on the way down, and then a couple more later in the afternoon. You really could have traded some of this if you wanted to. There's only some shorts in here. I don't think I would have recommended taking them. So um, I would have waited until this would have been the first buy I would have probably made after the news came out. So, but let's back out, make the chart a little bigger, talk about the trades, and wrap up for today. But early on, it looked like a trading range. I was pretty. You can see how flat that EMA is. I was pretty much playing this as a trading range, but I was also paying attention to this trend line. At that point, you're thinking this is probably a temporary trend to the bottom, but it turns out there's another tier in the end, and it's way down here. So there's two legs down, and then you figure there's going to be two legs up. Notice there's the first entry pull. We went right through the EMA, pull back. You got a nice bullish reversal type bar off of that short-term trend line right there. Just go long right there. Figure you're going to the highs. But it turns down a little early, so go ahead and draw your trend line off those first two swings. And then when it gets confirmed right here, that's not a perfect setup, but notice that new high, pullback, first entry, pullback. There's a failed second entry long there. I like that one. Quick, easy move. Then you get another move back. It turns down right off the trend line again. This is also a breakout pullback short kind of setup because look how flat and how much overlap there is there. Plus, it's right off the trend line. So there's multiple reasons to think going short right there. And you figure prices are probably coming to here. And there you are. You got a nice short, another quick move. And then it just kind of got choppy. This was the first break. And then it pulls back and it gives you a second entry with a little bearish bar right there. I almost made this one green because it's pretty flat there. Lots of overlap. But I don't have my line on here, but there's really some resistance right across here, and you can see that with all the matching highs and all. And that's a little failed break higher, and then you're taking the second entry, and there's a fairly bearish bar right there. But when it pulled back and went down again, now you got a failed second entry long right here. You definitely want to enter there. Notice that little tick higher right there, and it turns back down. And if you weren't already, and if you are already in, you could add on. These are the kind I like to add on. And you see how it took off, and you could have had a double set of contracts plus. And when I add on, I usually change my target to whatever the second trade is. So I would get more than 4 ticks out of this first entry, and then I'd get 4 ticks out of the second one. But I'd have 2 sets of runners going on top of that. So they really pay off when you get a chance at those. So don't be afraid of those. If you're reading the price action and you're confident. And then even though this is a first leg back because you made a new low, this is like a 2-legged entry. There's one leg, a little push down, then another. You can treat that just like a 2-legged correction. It's right off the EMA, right off the trend line, and down it goes again, and you get another runner going here. And then you get a second entry short here. It's like a little double top right there at the trend line, at the EMA. And by this time, you can see this shorter term channel here, and you're coming off the midline. And if you just measure this move down, you got a target of down here a couple of different ways. And you figure that's probably where we're headed. And I would have exited maybe a tick in front of this here. And then it gives you a failed second entry long. This is like a new high. You can basically treat this like a new high. And, 2 more tries to go higher. And you're not down here to the measured move yet. So I liked entering there as well. We weren't down to the lower trend line, the lower part of the range. And then from there on, you've got, it's right into the noon hour. I usually like to stay out. I mean, you could have taken a long here, but I think you're better off just to sit tight now and wait and see what happens. And then you really didn't get another entry. You might have gone long right there on that second entry off the low, but I think you're better off to wait for a trap because everything's below that EMA. And we did shoot below the trend line here, but that's just the news causing that. I think most people are probably going to ignore that break, but until they get the one here, and then of course you see we made a new high, and now we're working lower again. So although you could have gone long right there, I'll go ahead and circle that one green. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make that one green just in case you're being aggressive. You could enter there. But I would probably wait to play the safe one here when you got the failed second entry short. Notice the new low, pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry. That's going to trap a lot of people. And you definitely don't want to be going short way down here, even though that's a nice bearish bar. You might have considered thinking about going short there, but notice it never broke lower. and then it turned up, and I definitely would be ready to go long right there on that trap. That's a classic reversal type pattern. Um, and then you get another, it's like a pull back to test the EMA, and it takes off again. And you figure now we're going to test these highs and maybe even these up here, and it just shoots right on through. And that's all I marked for the day. You should have made all your money early on. There's plenty of entries right here early on to the downside. And another thing that lets you know that this is, the bias is down here, is that even though we're not making a lot of new lows across here, notice how every high is a little bit lower than the last high. That's a tail. That's a sign that's telling you that prices are probably headed lower. And you figure we're probably headed to this low or the real overnight low right here. Or, we might even be, we already had a break here. So, you could have been looking for maybe a bounce there. And you could have actually gone long there on a failed break lower. But I would usually wait for a second entry, and you never really got one. Notice you got a first entry there, then you made another low, then you got a first entry there, and this is just a breakout pullback short again from down here, and it's also a two-legged pullback, big bearish bar. It's the first break of this shorter term channel. A lot of different, and you figure you're probably going to test this low at a minimum, but this thing just keeps on going. So good trading day. Even if you only traded till lunchtime, great trading day. Lots of entries, and most all your action, your reasonable action was before noon. And of course, there's some trades in the afternoon, but you got to watch that stuff. So anyway, that's it for today. We'll be back to do it one more time tomorrow. Then I'm out of here for a week. And so I hope you had a good trading day. I hope your week's off to a good start. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next time.